Yeah.
Ying Lang.
Cheers. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit, little Q&A here. Mitch and Tony here with Q&A for, the Book of Barker.
Yeah.
So we just got done doing a game session. We're not going to tell you what that is. We just have to wait.
Find out.
It should be up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Yeah, it was okay.
Thursday.
You go ahead and place your bets now on who you think who came out better than the other. Whatever the hell that means. What, call me?
Oh, that's
Oh yeah.
1-888. Yeah.
55 loser. So we've got some questions. Last Q&A we did, was that last week?
I guess, yeah.
I guess it was last week. Nobody showed up again?
Yep.
It's kind of a trend. Nobody's showing up now.
It's gonna change.
Whatever. You guys don't want to see those other guys anyways. They don't wash. Yeah, we'll do a little Q&A. If you guys have any questions, we'll take those at the end of this session. And we decided to do the game session first because we did the Q&A first last time, and somebody got burned out.
Tony gets,
I didn't want to start at 8:30.
He's
So,
like,
so we started off really early,
Yeah.
and we knocked out four games. So
And
we'll give you that
three
much.
good ones.
Yeah, I'll admit one of them wasn't very good, and you guys can just get it out of the way. It's the first one, so you could just fast forward the first, what was it, 23 minutes or something?
Down
like
to the
that?
last 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was really, really short. So, anyhow, so if you guys have any other questions that we don't get to, just save them for the end, and we'll answer those. But these are questions in the last Q&A that people submitted. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 different questions, and one of them has many, many parts.
Woo.
So we'll probably
Save
get
that
to
one for last.
Yeah, well, we'll probably it is the last one.
Okay.
It came in today.
Good.
He put us over the thing, so
All right.
we'll do another Q&A when we have about
4 or 5
6
seconds.
questions, something like that.
Yeah, we'll just keep pumping it up.
Is it? No, it's up to you guys. So if you have any questions, make sure after this video is up, go ahead and if it doesn't make it during this time, go ahead and add it to the bottom on this video. Okay, after it's live.
Yep.
And we'll get it on the next one. Okay.
Yep.
Don't send me a personal message. Don't put it on one of the other forums or whatever. Because if I've got to hunt in 4 or 5 different places. Invariably, one of them's going to
You'll
get
never
missed.
find it.
Well, I could just have you look for the questions.
Oh,
this time.
yeah.
What do you think? How'd that work out?
I ended up in roadmap to Italy.
Yeah. Okay. So, welcome. All right. So, question number 1 from Patty Green,
Oh.
who apparently is Irish.
Oh, it's almost this time.
Yeah. It's almost this
Drink.
time. So,
Drink.
drink? Oh, okay.
Here's the patty.
All right. So, question for the next session. If you only get a single match pair of DBA armies for the rest of your life, hey, you only get one pair.
What, am I dying tomorrow?
What pair? No. It doesn't say how long you're going to live. Okay, here's your options. You can die tomorrow, or you can live a long time, but somebody comes in and steals all your armies except 2. And they have to be a match pair. What match pair are they? Whoa! Which DBA armies do you choose and why? Go.
Yeah. The funnest ones I've always had a lot of fun with.
Well, they could be ones that aren't fun.
I don't know.
I'd say pick ones that are boring just to piss them off.
Ooh. But the best ones, the best ones I've had fun with is the Sea People and Egyptians.
That's true, and if people saw the armies you had, they wouldn't pick that. But
Yeah.
every game that we've had with the Sea Peoples and Egyptians,
They've been really good.
because the Egyptians are deceptively extremely challenged by the Sea People because they have a lot of fast blade.
Yep.
So they have a lot of mobility. And they're littoral. Actually, both of them are littoral.
Yep. But it's a good matchup,
Yeah, it's wacky.
and it's always been pretty good games.
Is that your final answer?
But I do enjoy. I also enjoy my polls, which I'm kind of biased about. and Toots.
What, are you like part Polish or something?
No, I'm not. I'm actually a German.
Did you used to live with a bunch of Polish people?
The Polish sausage.
How many Poles do you know? You know one guy's
The guy
Polish.
up, yeah, I know.
The grocery guy, right?
Yeah.
Who else?
He's retired.
I know 2 Polish guys.
2?
Yeah, there's 2
Oh,
Polish
you know what?
people. Yeah.
Actually, I know a guy from back home too. I don't know, yeah.
Oh, you just said that's what would be tied.
Oh.
Well, you've met them. I actually haven't met the 2 Polish guys.
Oh.
So, yeah, one of them actually lives in Poland. They both have the same first name.
Oh.
One of them lives in Poland. The other one lives in Ireland. They,
Yeah,
they follow the channel and stuff like that.
I've physically seen mine.
Can you imagine?
And gamed with both of them.
Can you imagine a Polish guy living in Ireland? With vodka in one hand and whiskey in the other.
Good luck. Bud.
Okay, he doesn't get the drive. No,
Alright,
they're nice
mine.
folks.
That was mine.
Poles and
Poles and Toots.
and Toots.
Because they're pretty fun. But the best ones have always been the Egyptians and the sea people.
I don't know who I'd take. I mean, it's got to be a matched pair, so I don't
Pick
have.
wisely, because everything else goes.
I don't have that many matched pairs. It may be the Hungarians in some way.
But you haven't played them yet.
I haven't played them yet. Yeah. So
You better hurry and finish.
they're coming along.
Soon.
You know, when they start whooping your ass,
Soon.
you're gonna wish I didn't finish them. That's all I'm saying.
I just can't wait to be the Turk.
Yeah. Well, we have to dumb down the Hungarians big time.
That use 10.
Yeah.
I'll never get the smell out of that thing.
It's got to be my medieval Germans, which aren't 3.0 compatible yet. I can fudge other guys in there to make them 3.0. Definitely my medieval Germans. And it's because of the deep knights.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the medieval Germans and the Hungarians are going to be the pair. That's because that's like both guys have deep knights.
Yeah.
You know, there's some interesting stuff in there.
Cool. Can't wait.
You have to. It's close. It's
That'd be
close.
good. That's a good one.
But I don't have them done yet. So
So who do you have? If you weren't able to get them done, and
I don't. Okay, so it used to be my Tang Chinese and my Kukuriyo Korean in 2.2, but they're not 3.0 compatible. My Kukuriyo Korean are just thrown to the wind. They're worthless. Let it just take this Chinese hammer. Let it just take them and just freaking break them. Because I can't make the army out of the figures that I have because it changed so much. Plus the figures that I have, I can't get anymore because the guy who was the sculptor, he died. He went and died, and so we've had good games with my French ordnance and my Germans.
yeah,
Those guys have had good games.
yeah.
I'd have to say them. I'd have to say them because they are an army that are a match pair, and we've had good games with them. And it could go either way with them.
Yeah.
So, French ordnance and German.
Poles
See
and
people?
Toots.
Oh, you're not going to go see people in...
I just said they were the most fun. I've had the most fun with those two matchups.
Okay.
But I'm biased with the Poles and the Toots.
Yeah. So both of us want book 4 armies. Oh, your Poles are book 3.
Yep.
Lake book 3.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, Patty, there you go. Oh, why? You did say
Oh,
why.
I did. Yeah, I did.
X. All right, next one. Got to get my old reading glasses here.
Boy.
Yeah.
Old people.
Yep. I'm 49 going on 73. Okay.
He will be gone tomorrow.
Australian Greg. Australian Greg. I've noticed that you do not use camp followers elements in your games. Is this just the home setting, or does it include tournament games? If so, in both instances, why don't you have a camp follower on the board? Hit it.
Because they're busy in the camp. I mean, I've seen a couple times people use them, but
Twice.
yeah.
Since 2004, over almost 2,000 games. Well, that's not fair, okay? Because we've played almost 900 games, but I almost have gotten to 2,000 games. But with that said, I've played about 140 different people, I think. But of those 140 different people I've played, only 2 have ever used a camp follower. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like them because most of the time my camp is not the scale with the figures. My terrain seems to be in scale with the game scale, not necessarily the figure scale. And I like the camp also generally to be the size of the terrain scale. Now, I wouldn't mind, say, like the Ottoman Turk tent. Paint some guys that are on that stand, kind of like a little diorama. But the problem then you have is, what if you sortie with the camp followers, but yet on the stand it still shows people in the camp. So, you know, you're kind of going both ways. But
Usually the leader's busy inside there anyway.
is he? Is he like held down? Yeah?
It doesn't smell good in there.
No? Maybe it's the harem like paying him back.
I don't think so. I don't think he could get enough women to draw their attention while he sneaks out the back tent.
But that's why I don't have a camp follower. There's also not very many camp follower figures that I find particularly interesting.
Yeah.
I have a hard time making a camp for every army I have, much less to make a camp follower for them.
And I'm into camps for my armies.
You mean you're into buying other people's camps
Yeah,
if they made them
but
for
I
you?
got them. Because I do have a big variety of different camps.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's because people sold them.
Yeah. Well, that's because I bought them. I'm like, hell yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. I'm like, that will go for that. Oh yeah, I need that. I'll take that. Yep.
So that's why we do not use camp followers. Now, there's a couple times they've sortied out,
Yeah.
and we could just easily just use one of these
Yeah.
little 40 by 20s. It doesn't happen very often. It may have happened twice, maybe twice.
I've known
It's happened once.
a
So,
couple times. That's it. They don't last long once they step out. And then if anybody can get to it, they just walk right in.
yeah, they're good as an assist.
Go through your underwear.
Okay, that's Australian Greg question. Okay, Mike B. I do not know your last name, Mike, so we'll just have to call you Mike B. This is kind of an easy question. I kind of asked it for him, but I figured we'd talk about it anyways. I think Mike B's a new player. He says knights versus longbow. In shooting, and the result is a tie. Does this kill the knight, or is the quick kill only for ties in close combat? It's
Only in close
It's
combat.
only in close combat, and it's crossbow as well.
Yep. Crossbow, longbow. The knight has to tie them. Has to be a tie in combat.
In close combat,
In close combat.
it doesn't matter who
Yeah,
initiates
not
it,
not shooting.
and it doesn't
close
matter
combat.
if it goes multiple rounds. It's if any particular round when they're actually in contact, it happens. Kind of like when blades and knights meet up,
Yep.
So a tie will get them killed. So
And it doesn't matter if fast or solid. The only cool thing is, well, no, it doesn't really matter because a tie's a tie, so it doesn't matter.
tie's tie, yeah. It doesn't matter if it's solid.
And longbows, yeah, doesn't matter. They're dead.
So the only thing that's kind of broken about the shooting elements is that if you have a choice to pick, say, a
Longbow or regular bow.
longbow, regular bow,
Or
there's no
crossbow,
there's no
regular.
reason you would take a regular bow.
You always take the crossbow or
There's
longbow.
there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Just
Always
like
an advantage.
I can have a fast bow or a fast crossbow. You take the crossbow every time because they could get an advantage
Over a
against
knight.
Over a knight. They could.
Or
Now, if
counter.
there's no knights, it won't make a difference.
Yeah.
So,
But you never know.
you never know. So, unless you're dead set on wanting to model, you don't
Yeah.
want to model crossbow.
But you're handicapping yourself.
You could. Well, not everybody that plays this game, Mitch.
No.
Not everybody that plays this game, okay, is trying to mini-max and wants to win. You worry about winning a whole lot for somebody who doesn't keep track of your wins and loss records.
I got him right here.
Oh, yeah. Like a steel trap. Like a rusty mouse trap. Okay. Mike B. I know I already answered that question online, but we figured we'd bring it up as well. So that is only against shooting. Okay, Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson is the MVP for asking questions. He asked us. He asked a question about a week ago, and then this morning he added a bunch of other ones. So he's going to make it interesting.
Okay.
Mark, I don't know where you're from, but I'm sure you'll probably make a comment on where you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. We'll answer your questions. Okay. You talked a bit about the pros and cons of some tournament setups. Example, either some sort of set list, match pairs, or bring your rubbish, etc. Oh, he must be from the UK. With the rubbish. Rubbish gave it away. Yeah. It's called complete utter crap.
Yeah.
But which is your favorite type of tournament? Why? Hit it. It's not opens for both of us.
Yeah.
Everybody does those. Everybody does those.
One of mine was Road to Nowhere, where you have to like utilize maximum terrain. The theme.
So what's the rules of that? Because people don't know, they haven't watched our. We've done a couple of those games.
Yep.
There's videos of Road to Nowhere.
So you're not allowed to put a road down, and you have to max out on the terrain of whatever army you're using.
So you have to have two mandatory,
Yep.
at least two mandatory,
And three
optionals.
Yep.
Now
you might not be able to fit them all.
that's
on.
right. You could roll all one and put them all in the same quadrant.
But there is a chance.
Well, there's a special rule that
you'll
said
have to
if you get a choice, you can't choose to place it somewhere where it's not going to get placed.
You have to try and get them out.
You have to try to put all of the terrain pieces everywhere.
Yep.
But you can't use a
road.
A road's the only one you can do.
No roads.
Okay. So what that does is you're going to have a board with a lot of features, but the attacker is going to guarantee to be able to pick any of the 4 entry spots.
Yeah.
It's a fun game.
So I enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, you win a lot in it? Or what?
No, I just that's like because you also got again when you do themes, you also have to get into the what's a good word into the theme of it.
Into the spirit.
Yeah, into the spirit of it. And so if you're using all this terrain, you have to get to that. I like the to do the Swiss Army knife because you gotta have guys to deal with bad going. You gotta have guys to deal with open areas, so you get that nice mix. And so nobody is running around with some killer army. It's just you have a little mix to deal with all your little problems that you're gonna run into.
You got a little conf group of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's what I like. I enjoy the games I enjoy the most is the more different kinds of units I got to deal with all the different problems. I enjoy those games the best.
So if you're going to do a Road to Nowhere, you pick an army that has a Swiss Army knife
I try
as well?
Yeah. Some
Okay.
guy, maybe a quarter. Yeah, you might want to go a little heavier with people.
It is kind of like an open with max terrain.
Yeah.
So you could take an army that's an open type army, but it has at least 3 or 4 elements that are bad going fighters.
Yeah.
You'd be fine with it because there's going to be terrain
Right.
that's going to be placed.
And you might want to just try and go all out on bad going troops, but then you're going to get shoved around out in the open. So it is what it is.
Yeah. That's your favorite?
That's my
Road to Nowhere
theme is Road to Nowhere.
I printed these things out, but I didn't give them any thought. So, what's my favorite theme? Probably
Wimp Wars.
Wimp Wars, yeah. Wimp Wars and Silius is even better.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, let the little guys have their time in the sun. You know.
And what's the deal with that?
Well, people,
For those that don't know.
people. You guys know what that is?
They
I mean,
might
how
not.
many have we done?
Maybe there's a new guy and he's like, what's a Wimp War?
Go back and the quiz will be on tomorrow. No, I was going to tell you guys anyway. So, Wimp Wars is half of your army, half of the 12 elements, which is 6 or more, have to be either Soloi or Light Horse, any combination between. Now, obviously, you can't just create your own army. It's one of the armies.
There's
that's
plenty
on
of
there.
Wimp Wars.
And you can use allies. So sometimes you have an
Yeah.
army that is, say,
Two little
almost
bit heavy.
can do it.
You might
but you
miss them
can-
by 1 or 2, but you
Right.
can pick them up on the allies.
So what I like to do, what I've liked to do recently, is build armies that you can use them for Soloi Silliness, you can use them for Wimp Wars, you can use them in an open, You can use them in, you can play them lots of different ways.
Yep.
The Irish are that arm,
Yeah.
are that way. Okay. Now, Saloy silliness is Wimp Wars, but you can't pick light horses or 6 elements. You have to have at least six
or more.
Saloy, and that's one that you actually do need allies because
Yeah.
there's probably 16 to 20 armies maybe that can have 6 Saloy, but you can probably add another dozen or so by adding allies.
Yeah.
But that would be my preference because they're fast and furious and they're unique and
And they're low numbers.
and they're low numbers, so it can go every which way.
Quick, usually.
You can have a situation where you have 2 Saloy attacking your 1. It's a 2-to-1.
Yep.
And you're the 1, and he gets killed.
Yep.
All the time it happens.
Yep.
Okay. Now odds are that
Should
he
go,
should
bud.
go the other way, but it's a fair.
You roll a 6, they roll 1. You're dead.
It's a fair amount that it can go every which way. So there's some interesting probability type stuff that can happen.
Yep.
So, bring your own rubbish. No, we only did that one time. I didn't love that theme. I didn't love that theme.
It was just something that we were trying to come up with something totally different. It was up at HistoricCon. That's where we ran it.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember who won, and then I realized, wait a second, I know what the trophy looks like. I think I have it. It's some Saloy-looking guy. It's got almost like a crappy hat. He's like, looks like he's throwing like a pile of doo-doo at somebody.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to turn this question on its head. You ready?
Okay.
What's your least favorite type of event? Standard game, not big battle. Wasn't expecting that one.
Probably shooters. I never do good with shooters.
What's it called? Dark in the Skies? You don't do well with Dark in the Skies?
Yeah.
You're not a good shooter, huh?
I always come out on the short end.
I know somebody who does really well with shooters.
And even when I'm not playing them, I still come out on the short end. All I gotta do is win this dice roll.
Yep. You don't like Dark in the Skies? That's your least favorite one?
Probably.
I don't like match pairs. Well, we don't do them often because we tend to, in our events, back when we had events, we tend to do 3 rounds. And you need to have an even number of rounds for the match pairs. And match pairs, for those of you that don't know,
Can I take it back?
no, it's too late. You're gonna lose space. You're gonna lose space, and you're gonna have to commit Harry Carry.
I just
And because
remember-
we can't afford a samurai sword, you're gonna have to take out your toes with this. I know you're not wearing any protective. Of course not. Yeah. So just you can just take out some of your toes with it. What are you taking back?
When I had to play, I don't remember the name of it, but when I played my Old Saxon, the Old Saxon's a beautiful army, but 11 solid
Until they get on the
warband-
battlefield.
11 solid warband with 1 Saloy is a really boring game. I mean, I don't even care if you can come up with some kind of strategy trying to make them win. It's almost impossible.
So you don't like a whole army of solid warband?
Woo! That's rough. I didn't have fun. I don't even remember what game that was. It was something, and I'm like, you know what? I just got this army. I'm going to see what I can do with them.
It only
Can't
took
do much with
it only took one game playing them to realize why
I had
somebody
to
was
play
selling
3
them.
of them, though.
Well, or somebody was selling them.
I had to play 3 of them.
We should do that.
We did a couple games with them.
Next week, it's just you. Next time it's just you and me. We'll play through all their enemies.
Oh. No thanks. Go
It's
ahead.
not that bad.
Break my arm now. Oh, it's okay. We'll do it. But you're the Old Saxon.
It's your army. Okay, but I get to keep your army. Wait a second. So they're your Sam Knights.
Yeah. Yes.
But I had
Yes.
fun playing the Sam Knights.
Wow, that is a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
You didn't have any fun playing?
Yeah, because I can't even deploy all the way across because there's the
You know what that's called?
The warband's got to stay in the.
You know what that's called? It's called a challenge, dude.
Yeah, big time. It's more than a challenge. Oh my god.
We did them with the Welsh. I think we did them against the Welsh.
Yeah,
or the Scots-Irish or somebody.
Yeah.
They've actually won. They've won a game.
Yeah,
it's not like you've lost every game.
Can win, but it's
You just didn't have any fun
hard.
playing.
Yeah, it's because they're 11 solid war band. They're slow. They
Why'd you buy
suck
them?
against mounted
Why'd you buy
because
them?
they were beautiful.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, they're beautiful. I'm like, oh,
How's that panning out for you?
oh they look nice.
In the case, put away.
Oh man.
So, what did you change? That didn't change the tournament, though.
That was at least whatever that tournament was. I don't remember what tournament it was. Had to be
Warband?
something
Warbandia?
It was bad though. I think we had to have probably 6 or more warbands. I was like, oh hell, I'm gonna go with 11, huh? No, the joke was on me.
Joke was on you.
I didn't win any.
Yeah. So that army's for sale, right?
No.
No, it's not for sale?
Then we got the cool thing is they got one stand where this guy bigger than all the other guys.
Does he fight better?
Oh no. Because I would lead him in the front trying to intimidate people, then intimidate people.
No. At the end of the day, it's still a warband
Yeah.
like everybody else.
Yeah, he died.
Okay. My least favorite event. Oh, match pairs.
Yeah.
The reason I don't like match pairs is because you have to play at least 4 rounds. And match pairs, the way it works is you bring 2 armies that are enemies of each other. You're like, you show up and I'm like, I've got Romans and Carthaginians. And every round that you play, you end up, well, in 4 rounds, 2 of the rounds, they end up using your armies, your match pair. And your opponent gets to pick which one of the 2. So it's their incentive to pick things that are balanced, or maybe it's a match pair that you are better at playing one of the armies, but it's kind of deceptively that it looks like the crappier army. So, the whole game within the game, if you're worried about that kind of thing. But I don't like it because you have to play 4 rounds. And if you're a slow-ass painter like me, I've just gotten, usually when a tournament comes around, I've just gotten an army finished. And that's what I want to play, because I've played them less than any of the other ones. It makes sense. That's your incentive to
usually
go.
that's what you would do. Whenever
And that's
you
what I
find
would
out,
do.
Like,
And with a matched pair, it's, if you use them as one of the matched pairs, there's a chance that I may not play them. And, Tony, nobody gets to play the army first except me. I get to play the army first, the first time. So that's why it doesn't really work for me.
Yeah.
But they make good games.
Yeah.
The match pairs make good games.
Yes. Yep.
I don't dislike any of the events other than that.
Yeah.
You're forced to have 4 games. We used to do 4 games all the time, and then you rush people. And I think it works better. We got a lot of people that are learning how to play the game, and it takes a while to get everybody. You sit down, and you have to move the things, and hey, Frank, I'm Paul, and all this kind of crap, and the next thing you know, 17 minutes are gone in, and invariably, 2 of the people are, a couple of people that have already played have finished the game. They're sitting around waiting. So, I don't want to rush people because, most of the time it is new players and you want them to finish a game.
Yeah.
It's okay to lose a game. You want to finish the game.
Yeah.
Because it was a short game. So,
Yep.
that was my long ramble on that. Okay. This is the 4-part question from Mr. Mark Johnson again. We're doing one at a time. Do you think the rules tend to favor either the invader, the defender, or is it fairly even? You know how I feel about that.
I feel, and you guys would probably think this is funny, but I like being on the attack and letting the defender, even though they get to move first, they set up the train. I like being on the attack. That's just me.
That's not the question.
Does it favor? I think it favors the. It should favor the defender, but I don't mind being the attacker. Ha!
That's your final question? That's your final answer?
Yeah.
I think they favor the defender. I think they favor the defender. If I'm interested in winning a tournament at all costs, I would prefer to be the defender every time, because some people will say, yeah, but you get to set up you get to see how the other guy sets up. Yeah, if you don't know how to set up, but usually we set up with mix and match. You don't put like, okay, all my light horses over here, especially for the defender. I'm gonna put all my light horse over here, and then I'm gonna put all my foot over here, and then the guy goes, oh, well, I'll just set up all my bow over here to equal light horse bits. That's usually not the case. You've got to like taunt them and put things in a couple different directions. Okay, I think that it favors the defender less than 2.2.
Yeah.
2.2 was like the defender gets to put the terrain down exactly how they want to, and they get to do the swap.
Yeah, that was huge.
It just favors it too much.
But this isn't so bad.
This isn't so bad, but still, if you have armies that are similar, it's not so bad. If you have armies that are dissimilar, I think it's very much in favor of the defender, because like let's take the Mongols, okay? You don't get to pick where the terrain is, but you get to pick what kind of a battle it's going to be. Like for instance, if you're the defender and you are the Mongols, like say something happened in the Mongols defender, and you want a really open battle, you can pick terrain that is conducive to that, you know? Whereas if you're the defender and you're fighting against the Mongols, you're like, well, I'm going to just pick a ton of forest. Now, you may not get it where you want, but there's going to be a forest.
Yep.
But if you are the defender and you have an army that's not very combined arms, you get to pick what kind of a battle you're not going to have. You get to pick, if you're an honorable army that doesn't want to fight with a bunch of woods and bad going, just don't pick that for your terrain. And you're not going to have that kind of a battle, you know?
But as the attacker, you can decide where the...
Yeah, but what if the entire board is a piece of shit cluster, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I think it favors the defender too much. I think it favors the defender too much. But nobody asked me, so, you know, I'm fine. No. I mean, you know, this guy didn't ask me.
But I don't mind it, because as the attacker, I like to see where it is.
I end up defending a lot. I like the attacker because I like to now pick what side I come in. And, you know, you guys put road down, so now you only have two choices. So the other thing you can do is, if you're the defender and you can put a road down, now the attacker's choice is just between two of the edges. Okay, so you just took out half of his choices. So it favors the attacker too much. I mean the defender too much. Yeah. In my opinion. Okay, that's question one out of the way. Do either of you?
Part one.
Part one. Yeah, it's many parts.
Okay.
This is all Mark Johnson's doing.
Part two.
Well, yeah, there's many parts. Do either of you have a preference? As to whether you defend or invade, or does it depend on the army you're using at the time? Well, we gotta answer that one. I'm not reading ahead.
Yeah, I don't mind attacking. I
don't mind attacking as long as we're have an even type of matchup. Like, you know, what we just talked about. French ordnance and my Germans, or my Germans and Hungarians, or, you know, guys that don't mind bad going as anchor points, but not somebody that's, you know, skulking in the woods, that kind of thing. You know, if I'm playing Wimp Wars, for instance, if I'm playing Saloy Silliness, I don't care whether I'm the attacker or the defender.
Yeah.
That one's probably advantageous to be the attacker.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to play a game, it's win at all costs. If I'm playing against people that, not this guy, somebody that I do not want to lose to because they're a prick, not this guy. Okay. Then I want to defend. Okay, because I don't want them to, you know. And some people put too much terrain down, and then the game goes it goes on too long, and it goes into, you know, overtime, and you don't want that either. You don't want people waiting around.
Yeah, if you ever do that one I mentioned earlier with Road to Nowhere, you got a lot of little extra time, usually.
Or I'm surprised you didn't mention what's the Australian rules?
Oh, collision course.
Collision course.
Oh, yeah. I really
have my Irish done collision course?
I don't think so.
They'll freaking gang rape you with the Irish.
Oh, I don't know.
Collision course.
Oh, it sounds like
it's on.
It's a challenge.
It's on.
Because my favorite is collision course.
Okay. Why didn't you mention that earlier?
Well, because it's not.
Oh, okay. We like collision course. We like collision course.
I really like it.
Yeah, we like collision course.
A lot.
So, I guess it would depend on what army I'm using at the time. So.
I still, well, if I didn't have my Swiss Army knife and I have a lot of wimpy troops that need terrain, yeah, then I'd want to defend, get a lot of terrain out there in case I'm up against some, like knights and cav and all that. And I got a bunch of Sloyd, yeah. I want terrain then.
Okay, ready for a couple of
Hard
personal
green,
questions.
Right? Oh, personal.
Personal questions. You're going first on this one.
Oh boy.
Okay, and feel free to take a while with this one. What's your favorite color? No, it's not.
Red. No, wait.
Exactly. What are your wargaming histories? How old were you when you got into wargaming? What attracted you to wargaming in the first place? What other periods, rules, or scales did you play before DBA, 15mm DBA? When did you get into 15mm DBA? Actually, I need to go first.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get
shorter.
Well, you didn't. No.
Does board gaming count?
Why? Have I done a lot of board gaming?
No, I mean I started them when I was like freaking 8.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's what happens when you don't paint. I'll go first because it goes into when did you get into 15mm DBA? You didn't get it until this household living in this town named Tony was playing
DBA,
it.
But in Illinois, I've been gaming all the way
Yes,
since
but the question was
1983.
But 15mm DBA.
1983.
You're gonna jump ahead?
1983.
You're gonna jump ahead and do it? Go ahead, you go first. Go ahead, you go first. What's your wargaming history? How old were you when you started gaming?
Does board gaming count?
Yeah, sure.
All right,
Hey,
well,
hold
yeah.
on. Are you moving? Is it worker placement, or
No,
you
it's
like
the risk,
exterminating
risk,
cardboard people?
No, risk, yeah, we thought, roll the dice, risk, Stratego.
Okay, sure.
Because back then, that's all we had was risk and Stratego.
Okay.
For
So, what was
games.
the first game you played that was
For
that people would
miniatures?
consider a war game?
So
like,
then-
Africa Corps would count.
For miniatures though, I got into it in 1983.
Okay.
I was a sophomore in high school,
Okay.
and my dentist, so my dentist was a war gamer, and he painted. Go to his office and you see all this painted lead. Plus, he painted pictures. He was a real big Napoleonic guy, and man, I was in love with him.
You were in love with the dentist?
I was in love with gaming right off the bat because it's like, oh my gosh.
How old were you when that happened?
So sophomore in high school would be 16.
So that would have been an incentive to say, you know what? Screw this family farm. Okay, I'm gonna go to dentist school because I want all this shit too.
I should have, right?
You should have, right?
I should have. I didn't do that.
No, it didn't work out that way.
Damn it. So I started gaming with him.
Now this guy that was was he the main gamer? Like was he the guy that organized everything, or?
Well, where I grew up was kind of unique because it's a small town, and they had about 3 different miniature groups of gaming in that town. There's probably over in the whole town 20-some people, which is amazing.
How many of them were related?
No. All
No?
different people. Well,
Okay.
there was a couple brothers, I think.
Okay.
There's a couple brothers, but everybody else is different.
You're talking small, like what?
Yeah, like a town of 20,000 people.
Like Stark?
Like 20,000 people and a county of 50,000 people, and you got 25 gamers in 3
Wow.
different groups. But I started with the dentist. He was in Napoleonics. At the time, it was Empire.
Okay.
It was fun back then.
We've heard of stories.
I was young and
You
I
didn't
had
have a
the right
job.
numbers. Yeah, well,
You didn't have a job.
well, I did, but still, it's cheap in the Midwest back then. But so I got in Napoleonics was probably the first painted miniatures I purchased because I don't paint. I never did then.
There's a unit of your painted guys around here somewhere. Are they still here?
Yeah, they're still here. We'll give them some other time.
Okay.
I'd have to search, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So we did Napoleonics, and then we got in with another group, and that group was bigger. And at one point, in the heyday, in the
So it was
late,
another group. There was another group that got put together in the same town.
yes, in our heyday, we formed one big group, and I think we had like 24, 25 people. In
That's massive.
In the group. We were lucky because up in Illinois, we have basements. Tony,
What the hell's a basement?
And you could go in a basement and there would be 3 big tables, you know, like 6 by, we'd have 6 by 20. We might take a 6 by 20 and divide it into 2, and then there'd be another one. It'd be a 4 by 8. You know, we had 2 different places where they had huge basements where you could go and game. So at first I was just doing Napoleonics, and then when we got with those guys, and
So why did they do Napoleonics?
because that's what when I was going in high school, you go to the library, or not high school, grade school even, you go to the library, and remember the little books, like Gettysburg, and they had they'd have that map and show the little guys, you know, the north and the south, and I thought that was cool, and that really got me going.
So you like the period?
So, and then they had they had a Waterloo book, they had Gettysburg, Waterloo, and that really got me into military history. And then I met up with them, started Napoleonics, and that group went into everything. So you had Civil War, Napoleonics, World War II. We would play a system for maybe a couple months, and then one of the other guys would, you know, they'd paint all the stuff, and then they would put on a World War II game, and you know,
They'd paint everything for a game in 2 months.
well, you know, they'd plan it out. Yeah, no. We had some good painters.
Yeah.
We also had some fantasy. I mean, we did some epic, 40K, and we just gamed. It was a good group of people.
Any of them still up there?
Yeah, but they're not now. There's only if there's like 8 of them left up there, I'd be surprised.
Okay, so ancient stuff, because this is basically
So
ancients.
I probably
You
got
used to
into
do-
ancients, and I started with ancients with. If you ever seen Joel clipping on our NB
DBA.
DBN.
Yeah.
DBN.
Yeah. He's the guy that if you get anything wrong in the rules, it hits him. He's the one running the game.
You'll know.
But he's got all the troops and everything. So.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's building all the point on, but he started painting ancients, and we were doing
For Tactica, right?
Tactica.
Okay.
And we did Tactica early 90s.
Okay.
Early 90s or middle 90s.
So you never
somewhere
played
there.
any of the WRG stuff?
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay. And you got into DBA.
because of you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, because that was from being up in Illinois. When I lived so I didn't move to Florida until 2006. The whole time I was up in Illinois.
Yankee!
The whole time I was in Illinois, I was
Uh-huh.
in the big stuff. Napoleonics, Civil War.
Reading big stuff like lots of figures.
Lots of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then you got older.
yeah. And then, because when you're younger, you don't mind all the little nitpicky, you know. Like I said, I started out with
Because your
Empire.
brain's empty.
Yeah. We started out with Empire, and you got to I got 12 guys. Each guy shoots at .75. You know, yeah. Back then it was fun to figure all that out. No, not so much now.
Well, you've done it. You've done
Yeah.
it, and you realize what you didn't
Yeah.
enjoy about it, and that's not.
Keep
the
it simple,
thing to do.
stupid.
Okay. So when you first came here, and then we kind of hooked up, and because here in this town, I mean, this is a college town, which we have what, about 150,000 people,
Yeah.
something like that.
With the students, yeah.
With the students, so it's still a small town, but I mean, I've seen it grow.
Yeah.
You know, you got here when?
2006.
Okay, I got here in '81, so it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
But even with that many people, there's no historical gamers here.
Yeah.
That do like miniatures and stuff.
Right.
And so.
Even when we met Scott, that was through the board gamers.
Yep.
The board gamers knew we did before me and him started. We were board gaming with because there was no miniature gamers.
Right.
They're all board gamers.
And I'm fine with doing board games as long as it's historical and as long as it's combat, because I'm basically a pacifist every day. I don't want to like do worker placement stuff. I do that stuff every day. I want to like murder people, send people to the death camps, take over continents, shoot people in the back. Stuff that I'm never going to do in real life.
Nuke 'em!
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's just over too quick.
Yeah.
Okay. I prefer a little bit better of dialogue. Narrative.
I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna push that red button.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with board games. I don't have a problem with war games, but I want to play war games because that's what it is.
Yeah.
So the rest is history. We kind of linked up and we started doing board game stuff, but we're like the only two guys. And I showed him like his miniature game. He's like, I think after a while he saw that it kind of.
It's either that or nothing.
It's either that or nothing, And then you saw all your stuff.
You know what? It's not so bad.
It's the best game I've ever played. It's the best game I've ever played.
Because as I got older, I'm thinking, you know what? It is nice to do a small game where you play an hour, and then you can play another game
and
in
you
the
don't
next
have
hour.
to, and you don't have to get up, and people don't have to stare at your feet and things like that.
Exactly.
You can talk about rutabagas.
Rutabagas.
So for me, I've lived in this town since I was 10. So, but one thing I want to mention: did your dad? Your dad was in the service.
Yep.
He was in Korea.
Yep.
And but he never was into history or wargaming or anything like that.
I mean, he was in front line, so he's wargaming. No.
Yeah.
He'd been in the game. Yeah. No,
he didn't want to read more about it or anything. No.
I mean, he was in Korea, so he'd seen a lot of action. So, I mean, he does the dad stuff where he teaches you to fish and hunt and shoot guns and stuff like that. But board gaming and that, no, he wasn't that kind of dad.
Yeah.
Where he got into gaming. Family time for him was outdoor stuff where you went boating and skiing or hunting or fishing.
Well, I first started getting into history. Well, from my dad. My dad always had history books on all kinds of stuff. My dad was a civil engineer, but he's like, you don't want to do history for a living because you got to pay the bills. So, but he was like, he was really into his job, but he did have a lot of hobbies and geography and all kinds of other stuff. So I got my love of history from him, and my parents were pretty strict as far as like I couldn't watch horror movies or any stuff like that. But I could watch any war movie that I wanted to, because it was historical and stuff. So I started, kind of learning from him, and he'd always have these big coffee table books, and we'd always read them in the morning. You go when you're a kid and you're for breakfast, so you grab the coffee table book and you're looking through the battleships or whatever it was. So I got used to learning stuff, even though it was something I wasn't going to make a living from. I always enjoyed using the brain for fun. Okay, so it was always together. And in middle school, I first started coming in contact with this series of books, and I don't remember what they're called. I don't think they had any illustrations in them, and I don't know what they were, and they were probably done in like the 50s or the 60s or something like that. But they were a series of World War II stuff. So I really started getting into the World War II things because my dad had all this stuff on battleships, and I really liked the World War II stuff, but not really like the stuff in the European. So like the German commerce raiders. I really was attracted to the stuff that involved Germany as one of the combatants because I thought it really balanced everything in the world. Like, well, their stuff is really cool, and but they're like the bad guys, but they have like technologically they have a lot of really interesting things. So you have like the quantity versus quantity stuff on the Eastern Front. So I started reading about all that stuff, and I really was into it before I ever saw a war game per se, until I played my first war game probably around 1985. And I was really into the ships and stuff like that. And I played my first naval war game around 86 or whatever. And we were playing Sea Creek 4. And we were playing Sea Creek 4. There was a group of guys, and I was just a punk ass, 16-year-old kid or whatever that would show up. But I knew about the ships, because it's, when you're playing naval warfare, it's you got to know what the ships are. Like, oh, that's that one, and that's this other one, and this other kind of thing. So I got into all that, and we would range estimate. So you'd sit there and write down like how far things were, like stuff I wouldn't be able to handle that. Like after work, it's like, who the hell wants to go through all that stuff? And, and sitting on the floor, because it'd be like, some ships would shoot like 80 inches away, and like, no, I don't have time for all that. So we did all that stuff, and we did all the ships, and and we would take. There was a hobby store here in town, but sometimes we would go and we would take road trips to Tampa or Jacksonville or anytime we went somewhere else out of town. I'd be like looking through the yellow pages. You remember what those are? Looking through the yellow pages, like where the hobby stores were and what they had. Because I wasn't in a mail order stuff because it would take forever to get things in and all that kind of stuff. So I would go and it would, you'd get butterflies in your stomach. I wonder what they're going to have. And I wonder if they have this and they have that. All that excitement that I don't have anymore. And it's probably a good thing because it is stress causing. Like you'd go to like a convention and be like all excited about that's how we have all this other crap. Okay, we're like, well, they have these things here and I could buy them, So, you collect all that stuff. But we did Micro Armor with Command Decision in the late 80s. And we did some Combined Arms also. Both of them were French Chadwick's rules. And we did Sea Creek 4. And then, and then the Micro Armor, like, well, okay, well, that's not that much fun because infantry's kind of boring or, that kind of stuff. We'll sell all that stuff. And then we're not really playing Sea Creek anymore, so we got out of that. And there was a time when... in the early 90s, in the early 90s I moved out, and in the mid 90s I had my own place that had 3 bedrooms. So I had a room that was...
No basement though.
No basement. But I had 3 bedrooms to myself. Oh, who did you have to share the freaking basement with?
No.
That's what
the basements are the man cave up north.
Oh, so what you're saying is you got locked in the basement and your mom would slide
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna share with the furnace and the water heater.
No, I had the loft, okay? So I had a loft, and it was probably a room about this size, and I had bought the next size table bigger than this. This is what, 6 feet? So I had 8-foot ones, and I had 3 of them. So we could play naval games and everything. And that was great, because we had a group probably around 90 to 92 that would meet every Saturday just about to play. And then they all went each separate ways. And it was because, this is a college town and, people don't live here, generally people come and go or whatever. And I didn't do a whole lot of gaming until probably about 96, 97. My buddy Jeff, he would come over on Wednesday nights and he would bring us stuff to paint. And we had one of these in my other room. It was the painting room, and all we did was paint there, And he would leave his stuff up, and we'd have a beer, or whatever. And if we had a second beer, well, then no more painting happened. But we were working on our World War II stuff, skirmish, trying to come up with our own set of rules, that kind of thing. That didn't really get off the ground because it's just different times. I mean, the internet really accelerates the speed that we can share information with each other. And we needed to do some play testing. It wasn't like I could play every week like we do, but we might actually be able to get somewhere. But we did start doing, I did pick up a set of rules around 2002 that was scary similar to what we were coming up with. But anyways, so we did some of that. I've got quite a bit of World War II stuff painted, so maybe someday in the future we can do that. It might be 2 years away or something like that. We got to do it right. I got to get back into remembering how to do it so that it runs well, so that we don't like, oh well, nothing happened in this game. We don't want to play this game.
I was just thinking. You said that. So from '83 till I moved out. Well, got into the board gaming. So from '83 to about 2008, I pretty much, I would game at least, unless you went on vacation or something, but we always got together once a week. And in Illinois, you get once a week and once a month, one Saturday a month we get together too.
From 83 until
I moved down here.
So which is like 2009,
2006 is when I moved in down here. And then I sort of took a little, then we were just board gaming here from 2006 to about 8. And I was working 2 jobs. So I did not game it pretty much all, or once or twice a year from like 2008 to 2010 is when.
you started gaming. We started playing DBA
2010?
late 2010.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I won the tournament. You're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this guy's not an idiot.
Yeah.
I'll play this game and try to knock
I
him
guess
down
he's
a
a
couple
winner.
matches. Yeah, so about 2002, my buddy Jeff moved. I didn't do any gaming until, well, about 2002, I started going to conventions again. It wasn't until I got married, I guess, I started going to conventions again. I guess it's like, I'll do some games. Yeah. So, because I went to gaming conventions, I went to a gaming convention in 1996 and kind of had a bad taste in my mouth where I was putting all this stuff on, and I was like having to worry about my stuff getting damaged and stuff being played. And I'm like, I don't need this stress in my life. So I stopped going to conventions until like 2001, something like that. About the year I got married, yeah. So I would go to our local one like twice a year, and at that time it was in Tampa. And we'd play all kinds of different stuff, meet up with a friend of mine who used to live in town. We moved out, and we'd come over, and we would play stuff together and stuff like that. Twice a year, so what'd that be? 2002 and 2001, 2002, 2003. Maybe like 7 conventions went by. And about 2004, this is in an infancy of computers. I mean, there were still computers, but
Yeah.
you don't have Facebook and all that stuff that really accelerates the communication and that makes it really easy.
Yeah.
But on one of the bulletin boards for this HMGS South, this guy posted that, because in the interim, one of the times, like around '96, we went down to Tampa, and I'd always wanted to play Renaissance Spanish. Okay, and there was a set of rules called Armani. I picked them up, and I'm not good about trying to figure out a set of the rules without having played them before. Okay, I need to understand where this is coming from, so that I have a basis from which to build my understanding on. You got to have the building blocks so you kind of understand how the flow is. So I picked up a set of rules of Armani, Jeff and I, and he built like an Alexander Macedonian army, and I was working on my Spanish, but when I don't have any reason to do it, I had like 4 or 5 stands done, and that was it. I never played it. Around 2003, this guy ends up posting, says, hey, I'm going to do a how to play Armani thing at this hobby shop in Lakeland. Lakeland's 2 hours away, for like a game day or whatever. So I told Jeff, hey, we're going to be able to play Armani because I found somebody how to play it and we'll be able to do it. Oh, okay, cool. So I go down there and I loved it. And he's like, hey, well, you could just come to the shows. Well, where do you run this at? Well, the same shows you already go to. I said, do you have tournaments there? So yeah, we got loaner armies. Okay, well, just show up. All right, cool. Well, that was late, so this would have been mid-2004, so in late 2004 in September, which was the aptly named Hurricane, because that was the year 2004 in Florida that we actually had a hurricane that came. They had to call off the convention pretty close on the last Sunday because the hurricane was kind of getting close. But they were going to have this event. And I go and find Leon, and I go, hey, I'm here for this event. They're like, oh, well, nobody showed up. What do you mean nobody showed up? You said people show up all the time to play this game. I said, well, there was a big falling out, and these guys really went after the author, and apparently the author was being henpecked by other people who were playing this tournament rule set, which I guess could happen in any rule set. But he basically said just to heck with it, and people moved on in other rule sets. And I'm like, well, that freaking sucks. I have this rule set. I was like excited to play it. So I'm like looking around, and there's these people playing DBA 2.2, and it's a similar type game where you play with your own figures, which was the attraction for me. Before that, I was always the one that would put on all of the miniatures for everybody else that would play with. So I've got to do the cost of buying the miniatures, which isn't that big a deal because even though it could be a lot, it's a part I enjoy. Painting them, I enjoy painting them. But I'm a slow as shit painter, and the worst thing is I gotta worry about people damaging my shit or walking away with it or whatever. So it's stressful. I don't want the gaming experience to be stressful. But I always like to play with my own figures. When we used to play Sea Creek 4, I would go to tournaments and or games, and they would say, what side you want to be on? And I would bring all my ships with me, and I would look and see what the forces were, and I'm like, I want to play that ship over there. And I would say, get that miniature off, and I would pull mine that I brought with me and replace it with my miniature. It was all 1/2400 scale, so it wasn't a scale issue per se. But that was the whole appeal. I mean, I don't want to play miniatures games where I don't have the miniature, because that's the appeal to me, to buy more and collect more and be creative and talk about, especially now when you see pictures of people, you know, you share information and all that kind of stuff, you know. That's the appeal for me. So when I found this set of rules where, oh yeah, you can play quick, you don't have to stand up because so you're comfortable all the time, it's over quick, and you play with your own figures all the time, and your other guys don't touch them, and you're close enough to them that you get to enjoy them. Yeah, it's a win. Sign me up. Now, I always play, just like you, really complicated rules. Sea Creek 4 is pretty complicated. Well, for the time, not for now.
Yeah, no.
The skirmish game we were coming up with, and the one that I have the rules for, in every rule set I always played was always percentile. Always percentile.
Yep.
Now, Command Decision is a percentile, but it's a D10, so it kind of is percentile. Every game, you know, what is this game? You only use a D6? That's stupid. I mean, who wants to use a 1/6-sided? Come on, that's, what am I playing? Risk here? You know? But I just kind of just said, okay, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it a chance. And it's deceptively stupid simple, but I haven't looked back. I haven't played anything miniatures-wise since it, because it is just captivating and challenging. You know, but it's not my period. Like, I am not an ancients and medieval person. I didn't have jack on all this stuff. Now, did I know about this history? Well, sure, because in college I took history for, you know, electives and stuff like that. So I had more history knowledge than the average person, which doesn't mean anything. You know, I would have known who, you know, any of these major people are, you know, but as far as, you know, exactly the tactics and the rock, paper, scissors aspect, no, I really didn't know. But it's definitely been the hardest set of rules that I've ever played, because it's just not written like anything else I've ever played before. That was very specific, and this is that, and you know, I don't know. So that was in 2004, 2006. I went to I didn't even know about Historicon. I went to Historicon the first time. I've gone every year except last year and probably this year. But again, I wouldn't go to Historicon if I didn't play this, because you could only sign up for one game a day at Historicon, so why make a 14-hour pilgrimage and knowing that you may not be busy the whole time? You know, for us that play DBA, we can play DBA the entire period, and yes, we can play it at home, but we get to play it against other people. And you don't have to worry about learning the rules and all that kind of stuff. You can just have fun, you know, and play the whole time, you know. And that's the appeal for me, you know. It's
Do they have any other?
well, you tired with my description? You want to say something else?
No.
Well, I don't know. I didn't ask the question. That was a short version.
You said that was like another.
Oh, and I'm going to add another thing. So my dad was really into history, but he never got into wargaming.
Yeah.
So he never was interested in doing that kind
It's
of
hard
stuff.
to get.
But my dad was older. My dad was. What year was your dad born in?
29.
Okay, mine was born in 25. So, but my dad was. He was in another country.
Yeah.
So he's not. He couldn't have gotten drafted. But he could have been in World War II.
Yeah.
But you know, he had not made it on these shores yet. Okay, we have another question. I thought you were based in Florida. Well, we are. What? If so, why is Mitch wearing the Green Bay Packers in the last Q&A? Mitch always wears Green Bay Packers stuff.
Check Luke 2.
And Luke too. Okay? So, always. Because you used to live...
Yeah, I mean, I would...
Why aren't you a Bears fan? You're closer to Chicago.
Take Miss Clifton.
It's the same thing.
No way would I ever support the Bears. God. That's like...
But you've always been a Packers fan.
Yeah.
It's not like, when they win, you're a Packers fan or whatever.
I'm a huge football kind of guy, and it's always been the pros. It wasn't until Gainesville that I got interested in college because I met Tim Tebow when he was a freshman in college.
Did you?
Cut him a sirloin steak. And then I didn't even know who he was. Another guy, one of the
Wait, I thought you said you met him. Sounds like you just serviced him.
No, not like that. One of the other guys like, you know who that was? I'm like, no, who? Tim Tebow. At the time, nobody knew who Tim Tebow was.
Right.
But
you know the difference between you and Tim Tebow?
So I got interested.
You still have a job.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. I'm sure he's doing. I'm sure he's doing okay.
Well off.
I'm sure he's doing okay.
He's well off, I'm sure.
So true story. So Mitch and I go to another show in another neighboring town that's known for its world famous rednecks. That's called know-it-all people that don't really know anything. And Mitch is of course wearing his Green Bay stuff. Okay. Yeah, he's got. So the guy walks up to him and says, so you're a Georgia fan, huh? And I know there's red, green colorblind, but what's black, yellow colorblindness, okay? Yeah, but you've always been a
always
Green Bay Packers
always a
fan.
Packer fan. This has been the last years. You can't live in a better time to be a Packer fan right now. We've got 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back.
The day will be when I'm wearing Packers stuff. I don't wear football stuff.
When I was coming up, and being in Illinois and all that, coming up, man, it was rough. Packers sucked during the 80s. The Bears were really good, and the Packers really sucked.
Yeah.
Now
So that's why he's a Green Bay Packers fan.
Yep, there you go.
That's it. Okay, so I don't watch any football. What I used to do is I would play, because I play video games too, okay?
Yeah.
I play Madden and stuff like that. But everybody that I know that is a big Packers fan, okay, won't play video games. Or if they do, all they do is Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail. I'm like, dude, you should know more about football than I do, and I know how to freaking run an offense.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's kind of like a war game, okay?
Yeah. That's why I guess I
mix
like,
it up,
I guess that's why I like football, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's not baseball,
Yeah,
it's not
offense,
basketball. Yeah, there's stuff
defense,
going on. Yeah.
cheerleaders,
People in certain spots.
kneeling.
Yeah, they're going up. I'm gonna cut that up.
Anyhow, so that's why Mitch is a Packers fan.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody always thinks, you're from Illinois. Yeah. Or, well, when they see it, they're like, oh, you're from Wisconsin. Nope, Illinois, but I love this.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. That was an hour and 8 minutes. That took us as far as we could go. Now we'll go all the way to the beginning and answer questions. And who do we have here? Rick Keppen, yes, from Nebraska Stan. I don't know if he's still on because that was asked a long time ago, but okay, at 9:40.
Well, you warned
Woo!
them. You warned them.
Okay. Rick has a YouTube channel, and he's got a lot of interesting content. What is the worst? Sorry, I have to keep scrubbing the screen. Maybe I'll get a little closer because it times out. What is the worst miniatures damage-related disaster either of you have ever experienced? Oh, that's a great question. Drop figure. It's going to be me?
Yeah, what's your name?
Ah, don't steal my thunder, you asshole.
It's gonna be him.
What's the worst miniatures disaster either of you ever experienced? Drop figures, stab yourself on a pike, someone sat on a box containing an army, etc. Well, technically, that would be the worst experience for that person.
You were in an accident.
Yeah, you'll steal my thunder. I'll go first. My worst miniatures disaster was I was coming back from Historicon. I want to say, the first year I went was 2006. It was either 2007 or 2008. I was flying out of Orlando, and Historicon's in the summer. So the problem with flying in the summer is freaking thunderstorms all the time. The problem with thunderstorms is that they delay all the flights in. So I was flying back on a Sunday because we game on Sunday morning as well, and I flew out of Orlando, which is about an hour and a half away from us, and this is before you started doing it, and I went with Marty. I remember that, and we flew up there together, and he lives maybe a half hour from Orlando in the opposite direction. But the flight was supposed to get here at 8 o'clock on a Sunday, and it was delayed like 4.5 hours, something like that.
Uh-huh.
So it's late, and I've been up for, you're up for a gaming convention weekend. You're not exactly getting all your sleep. So the whole time, I don't drink a whole lot, contrary to what you may see here. No, I don't. This is the place where I come and do that.
Yeah.
So it's part of the experience. So, but I don't like to fly because of turbulence. I'm terrified of freaking turbulence. Give me snakes, spiders, I don't care that stuff.
Snakes on a plane?
Whatever, it will make a difference. Okay? I don't like to fly. I do fly, but so I've got to have some of this, okay? But I knew it was going to be late, so I didn't have any of that. So I'm popping coffee the whole time because I know that my plane's going to get back about midnight, and I'm going to be really drowsy, and I got to go to work the next morning, okay? So I drive back from the airport, and somewhere on the way back, about halfway back, I fall asleep for probably, we'll say 20 seconds or something like that. I don't go off the road or anything, but there was a tractor trailer that had merged, it had the tires were being repaired. He came onto the road. He did not pull out in front of me. But anyways, the back of his truck was about this big, I remember, when I woke up and started hitting the brakes. So I hit him, going, I don't know, 30 miles an hour, 20. I slowed down to about that. I wasn't really damaged or anything, but I was carrying the figures, and of course the figures, went everywhere. But those guys were like 5 and 7 anyway, so they deserved to freaking die. It was my Tang Chinese. I think it was my 4th or 5th army. But anyways, it was fine. The car was total or anything, but I already had 155,000 miles on it. It was like 11 years old or something like that. So
I've just been lucky.
It was okay, but so my wife always says, "Well, I'm a better driver than you." I said, "I'm a better driver if I'm awake." But I also tell her, "Well, how many accidents have you survived?" Mm-hmm. So anyhow, we won't do that again. Don't drive drowsy. And actually, I was trying to make it. I didn't want to pull off on the side of the road. I was trying to make it to the next rest area, which was like another 7 miles or 6 miles. Or something. Didn't make it. So, but yeah. So the Tang army fell down. Did it get super damaged? Not a whole lot. I epoxy on my figures, so some of the lances and stuff got bent up, but I rebent them and some paint flaked off. No big deal. You haven't had anything?
Nothing major. Nothing like that.
Yeah, it actually was okay because they're in the baking trays. They were in the baking trays, so some of them didn't even get damaged at all. I mean, it's like, immediately like it's sitting on the seat going from, 45 miles an hour to 0,
Yeah, I've been lucky.
So, yeah. But, so I hit the tractor trailer, right? At some speed, I'm okay. Like, you're totally woken up. And like the cabin is like it's filling full of smoke, And I just woke up, and I'm like, okay. And the other thing that's really kind of unique. This is like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. The other thing that's kind of unique is I'm still moving, and I'm like, what's going on here? Okay, and I'm a little confused because the cabin's full of smoke, and I just woke up after a very short sleep. But I just woke up. And
it's a nightmare.
I had gotten under his, what they call the DOT bumper, so the bumper on the back of it was a tractor trailer, it was a flatbed, and I'm getting pulled along, and he's going faster and faster because he's moved on. So we're going like, I don't know, 5, 7 miles an hour or something like that. So I'm like, screw this, I ain't going to die like this. So I remember looking back, I've got a seatbelt on because I always wear a seatbelt anyways, And I look out of the back, there's nobody coming behind me, and I was in the right-hand lane because I didn't swerve or anything when I hit him, which is probably the right move. And I remember looking back, and nobody's coming. I'm buckled for the seatbelt. I jumped out of the freaking car.
Eject.
I eject, because it's like, and that's good because I realized I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to be like, oh shit, I'm on fire, oh shit. Freaking do something, man. So that won't happen again. But it was all good. And then eventually he pulled over. He got flagged down by the guy that was fixing his tire. And then later the cops came and I'm like, yeah, I freaking hit him. I fell asleep for a moment. And then later on the insurance contacted us that driver of the tractor trailer who did not know that I had hit him was like claiming that he had like some back trouble. So I only wish him the freaking best. But anyhow.
But he's retired now.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that is my biggest.
Yeah,
that's my biggest calamity. You've never had anything ruined by water or anything like that?
I mean, nothing that. So being up in Illinois, we've had flooding, but I knew the possibility of it, so all the stuff was up. But
Did it ever flood in your basement?
Yeah.
How many feet of water?
Probably about 6 inches.
Okay.
But I had a high table like that.
Yeah,
the tables were all high. Everything was off the ground.
Right.
So I was always prepared for it because I knew it could happen.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, that was one question down. All right. Let's see what we got here. Skylab says it's unusual for most players to have the patience to await attack. Most seem to move forward out of a good position.
Yeah.
I'm always attacking someone. I gotta keep the game moving. So I'm playing another game against someone in another game system recently, and it was one where it's a computer game, and I've played games where like Field of Glory. I played Field of Glory, and you set up, and you got one army on this side, you got one army on the other side, and there's bad going terrain on there, and the other guy is not going to move forward. Well, I'm not going to just freaking sit here. You try to make the best of a bad situation and attack someone. You don't have to attack everywhere, but you need to, focus on whatever. I feel like I'm always out. I don't care whether I win or lose. Obviously, you want to win. But what's important is controlling the pace of the battle. That's what's important. Because if you just sit here and reactive all the time, that's not a very fun game. So.
Gotta have a plan.
That wasn't really a question, but all the way back here. The game lends itself to attacking by not having objective. Scott is probably asleep now. He took a draw once to do either me or opponent not wanting to give up their positions. That sounds familiar, doesn't it, Mitch? Skylab says for me it was 1977 Avalon Hills Panzer Blitz, followed by Micro Armor and Angriff rules. I played some Panzer Leader, but those boards were just so freaking ugly.
I didn't get into them.
They were so ugly, the boards. Yeah. I don't mind playing the board game, but it needs to not look horrible.
Yeah.
Okay? It's part of the deal for me. It may not matter to some people. So that's the whole reason I won't play Catan. I don't care how popular Catan is. Looks like shit. Gotta have weapons in gaming. Paul Beckus, that's right. He's from Australia. He's
gotta have what?
Gotta have weapons in gaming.
Weapons in here?
Yeah!
Yeah, notice.
Yeah, right.
Can't we just all get along?
Yeah, screw that.
Come on, mate.
That's what I can get along
with. That.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stuff my sausage in.
Whoa, that's a different kind of game there, pal. We're not going to play that one together. Paul says, my old man was a rifleman in Vietnam. He has zero interest in wargaming. Oh, that's right, because Australians are in Vietnam.
Yep.
Did you know that, right?
Yep.
You use Centurions.
And they were in Korea, too. Oh!
Well, everybody was in Korea, even the Turks.
Yep.
Okay.
Could be Greeks.
He has zero interest in wargaming, but he loves watching Western movies. You're the opposite. You're really fascinated by the Pacific War. Okay. It never appealed to me. it never appealed to me. It just seemed very one-sided.
Which one?
Paul was saying I like the European theater. He liked the Pacific War. Well, that's fine. And he's not even American, because some people would be like, I mentioned this before. We're both Americans. I don't know how you feel about it. I tend to not play Americans. I'm going to be an American every day. Why would I, we don't get any cool accents or anything like. You don't get to talk, hey, let you just stick the vodka, you bastard. We don't get to do that kind of fun talk, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I tend to not like to play Americans. Not because, it's too personal or anything like that. It's not interesting enough.
Yeah.
And likewise, when I took history as electives, I don't care about American history. There's not enough evil bastards here. It's more twisted and more genocide in other places that are, much more evil figures and stuff like that. Than, yes, there's lots of bad things that happen here, but I just mean as, generally. It doesn't interest me. It's like, you take American history, it's like there's not enough wars and stuff like that, so what do? You end up doing laws. I'm the last person to be a lawyer. So, anyhow. Well, Robin says, still play Armati on occasion. Skylab in Utah. He has been a Packers fan since Super Bowl I.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, somebody else that likes those ugly colors, too. I had a high school that had those Packers colors, and I absolutely hated it. So, I'm out. I'm fine with people packing.
It's
Okay,
big G.
but it's just
It was the big
it's
G,
the G.
man.
The G
It's
that
the
does
big
it.
G.
G-man.
G for great.
Let's see here. Rick Kevin. Haha. Old man. Poor Tang Chinese. Yeah, I haven't played them much since the Tang Chinese. Well, the thing is you bought a Tang Chinese army at one of the historic ones. So mine are also for 2.2. So I'd have to convert mine.
Yep.
In that time, you've bought Tang Chinese. And Joe has Tang Chinese also.
Yep.
So there's like zero interest in me developing them and making them up for the other one. So yeah, you guys probably haven't seen it in a while. I used to play them as a match pair with my Kaguro Koreans because they were enemies of each other. This is around, say, 680, so Dark Ages, on the Korean Peninsula. So yeah, we had some good games with them. I think they were really fairly balanced, but they're not 3.0 compatible. And there's not a big incentive in doing them. And the other thing is they're minifigs figures, and they're minifigs figures from the compound that the alloy is very soft, so that they bend easy. So it's when the miniature alloy came around in around 90 or 91, they were going to be we have to change the GHQ. That's all we used to buy, the GHQ stuff, because I didn't do ancients or anything in 15 millimeter and stuff like that. This is the first game I've ever done in 15 millimeter. Before that, it was either 20s or 285th scale or 1/2400 scale. But when they first came out around 90, 91, well, we need to change to a more pewter alloy so that it doesn't have lead, so that kids don't get poisoned or all that kind of stuff. The prices jumped like 25%, supposedly because the material was more expensive. Okay? I didn't like the new material because I was thinking it's very difficult to bend back into shape and it tends to break. What I didn't realize at the time is now it's difficult for it to bend in the first place. It doesn't and it's bent. So those old minifigs that I have are just they're very bendy. So I had to really put the trouble in to go in there and revamp that army for 3.0. Okay, we got anything else here? What is Sarasota High School football colors, orange and black? Well, it's always Halloween. Orange and black. Black is a good color. It goes with everything else.
The school I came from.
What was their mascot?
The pretzels.
The pretzels, okay? Let me guess, one of their colors was brown.
There was orange and black.
Orange and black pretzels? No brown? Should have been brown and yellow.
No, it was orange and black.
Really?
Yeah.
Should have been brown and yellow, like mustard on the pretzels.
Yeah.
What's their fight song?
Put some salt in their eye.
You have some weird. There's some,
It's
you
like
guys
on-
want to have a good laugh because
on
we've
the-
had this conversation on one of our Historicon drives.
Yeah.
Go look up with most sorry high school mascots. There is some interesting stuff. The pretzels isn't even close.
Yeah.
You would gladly bow at the pretzel temple as opposed to some of this other stuff.
Yeah.
Just really like, man,
Way
some
up
people
there.
must have been on some really bad drugs. You know?
Oh, man.
Rick Keppen, what is the newest terrain feature in either of your collections? You go first. Hey, go get it.
Yeah, I was like,
Go fish.
I think it's or would it be these? It's a tie maybe.
It's a tie?
I mean, it's been since
I know
last
which one.
historic.
I know which one I think is the cutest.
I think it's last historic guy, and it's either the gully or the
You and your gullies.
yeah. Well, we didn't have any for a long time. I'm like, we gotta get a gully. So
Uh,
I had that made.
yep.
So I think it's the gully, or possibly.
Oh man, those are sexy. Woo! Enclosures.
Yep, closures or gully.
Yeah. So I don't paint for people because I don't paint for money. But if I feel that you are worthy and just feel like giving you shit, I give shit away sometimes because I end up using it. So
Yeah.
this is just a clear piece of acetate. Okay, it's just totally clear. I actually wanted white styrene, but they didn't have any in town because we don't have very many options here. And I did the little. It's actually a piece of balsa wood. You can see through it. That's why it's transparent. But it's got that I painted that I did for the walls. Even though they would, if they were rocky walls, they would be okay. All right, we do what we got. Okay, so he painted what that is. He actually bought these two little things out of rubber. I think these are terrain, battlefield terrain concepts makes them, and they may be. I'm not sure who the thing is, but the vendor at Historicon is Battlefield Terrain
A couple years
Concepts.
ago now.
These things are actually made of rubber. These two fields. So I just put them together. This is just pipe cleaners painted, glued on there. Some little rocks, and yeah, they look really cool. Now the thing about enclosures is enclosures can't have any straight sides.
Yep.
I know, which is just like that blows people's mind. But we didn't have any enclosures, so I decided to make some of the materials I had. And, well, you bought these things,
Yep.
but I'm like, let's make just like the same thing. You got that stupid looking castle. You're
Yep.
gonna fix that bitch up, and it's gonna look good. Okay. I don't mind doing it. The problem that I have as I get analysis paralysis sometimes, I'm a little bit better. Drink.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit better about it than I used to be. But I start getting an analysis paralysis, like I don't know what I'm going to do about this. I get so worried about something maybe not coming out, how I'm really going to love it, instead of just freaking jump in, and it always turns out okay. But, so when I'm painting something for somebody else, I don't give a shit so much how it looks like, because it's not going to be mine. It's for somebody else. And it turns out great. So just jump in, folks, with both legs, and it'll turn out okay.
There you go.
And where's the other one?
What this one?
Yeah, this is the other one too. Now, my wife's contribution to everything was these things were slicker than snot when you put them on the battlefield. Okay, no matter what you put them on, it was slicker than snot, and they're even scraped down so they won't slide as much. She says, hey, if you put some glue dots on it, some hot glue guns, they won't slide so much.
She's with all the brains.
Now when it comes to this stuff, my wife can be good at everything, especially cooking, except directions, okay, history, and hobby stuff. She can be the best at everything else. That's my land, okay? Don't mess with me. She even goes to the range and can outshoot me. That's fine. I clean the guns better than she can, okay? But that's fine. It's a team effort.
You contribute.
It's a tribute, but that's cool. She came up with with
Yep.
some good ideas. So, and then this one was done by
Rob.
Felderman, right?
Yep.
Now he got.
That was like probably one. Like I got all that in the last at the same convention because those are the things we did not have.
Okay. And this is just a piece of
He
rubber
made it
with
up,
things glued on
and because I told him
and painted.
what it was, because we bought like the really long. This is what I do my Littoral with.
So it's like
We had
mouse pad
extra-
material.
Yeah, we had extra, so he took it and he formed it.
It's a different material, dude.
Well, I thought he.
Nope.
Or
Drink.
maybe I did. No, I did buy this separate. I did buy this piece separate.
This is like a
something
road
different.
junction or
Yeah.
something like that he bought. And he's
Yeah.
like, hey, can you make this for me?
Yep.
And he did.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. Yep, yep. So we made it into a gully.
yeah.
That was one.
That's your newest, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. It's been a while since.
My newest thing, well, I'm not going to pull it out. It's probably my Irish woods.
Yeah,
My Irish woods.
because those turned out good.
Well, that's
yeah,
the Mark
those
III
are.
woods.
Yeah,
That's the third time on the woods.
because they look good. Because it looks like you're looking at.
I
woods
can't
from
leave
up
him here,
above.
or the next thing you know, his wife gets jealous.
Looks like a drone looking over.
No,
the
but it's the
battlefield.
third time of trying them. I did this the woods that get removed on the first one,
Yep.
and that looks great, but it doesn't really work. Most of the
No.
time, you're not using it. And then we ended up taking your
Went to the Mark II.
yeah. This is just a piece of MDF. It's totally flat, or maybe you had something on it,
I think it was like.
and
I
we
don't know
just
what it
added some texturizing and some
Yeah.
woods or stuff on it.
Yep.
And then what I really like is your doo-doo hills.
Oh.
This thing looked like the saddest cow pie you've ever seen. It was totally this gray color, completely, and had no texture. So what we did is we added, you didn't do shit.
Nope.
This is, I just added some rocks on here and some grass, so it still looks kind of like broken terrain. It does flex, but I don't want to flex it because
They'll
these
start
things
breaking
could
off
pop
rocks.
off. Yeah, we're not going to do that, and then I have to fix it. And
Yes.
we need to keep moving forward, making new
Forward,
things, not coming back
forward,
and
not
fixing it.
backwards.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it's like.
terrain. Yeah, for the longest time we would just use felt, and I would travel and use felt. And once we started filming, we wanted better looking terrain
Yep.
because it looks better.
Yes. 3D look.
Yeah. All right, what else we got? Do I use DBA for historical battles like Magnesia, or can I? So the thing about can I is it can't be done. You can't do can I with DBA. You'd have to have a bunch of special rules, and you'd have to shove a shitload of forces. But we did a series of 4 battles. We ran them at.
But we take 2 of them.
Which one's the second one?
Or I guess we take 1.
We did one. Okay. If these guys keep not showing up every week, we'll go back and do the other three battles. We did a series of 4 battles called the Roman Art of War, and there were 4 battles that they're neither one of those 2 that you mentioned. Because like I don't want to do Magnesia because people have done Magnesia or stuff like that. So we had the Aquae Sextae.
Yeah.
We had Cynocephaly, which is the dog hills.
Yeah.
Those 2. We have Pyrrhus's first battle, Heraclea, or Heraclea, however you want to say it. And the last one is a battle between Hannibal and I want to say Marcellus. It may not be Marcellus, it may be somebody else. But it's a Hannibal's battle that involved Romans coming out of a camp.
That was
So,
cool.
that was a cool one. And it was based on somebody else's scenario idea for it. I don't remember what the name of that battle was.
But they turned out good.
It turned out okay. So we put on these 4 battles for this event to kind of get people familiar with DBA 3.0 when it first started catching on, to try to get it to catch on. And that was a convention like nobody showed up to play DBA. It was like, we had like 4 players. So it didn't get complete exposure. We had custom terrain done with the felt and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like the hills are actually
You need everything a
3D.
certain
They're
way.
not very 3D, but it's enough that you can tell. They're like this high. So you can tell. What is what. And we did do one. So if you go back there and see Ackley Sexty.
Yep.
But there will be other battles.
Yeah.
But no, we haven't done Magnesia. Kenai just needs to be just forgotten because there's no way to do that one to give it justice. It would just be too many, and it's pretty much featureless. So that's not really a deal. But yeah, it could be used for that kind of stuff, and special rules and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Because you would.
like if I was to like snap and my Mongols were done, and we wanted to do a battle with the Mongols, and we did a historical one, you could add special rules in there. Not that I haven't thought of any in particular, but ones that would be able to make the Mongols fight Mongolish like, and would be cool. And then you wouldn't have to tinker with the rules because I don't want to start using a bunch of house rules to play our games because we're going to like them more than the rules. And then when we have a world tournament, you're going to miss that, and we're going to hate the game or not have the same kind of experience. So, but if you're doing a scenario for a historical battle, it could
You can always
just
make
be
up
scenario
your own
rules, yeah. And you can have different winning conditions.
Yep.
You can have maybe one force has to lose 6 elements before it goes. And a lot of the battles that we do, like the Ackley Sexty, I think the Romans have 10 or 11 elements, and the Germans have 14 or 15. So the Germans are outnumbered. Outnumber the Romans, But yeah, you can do all that stuff with historical battles. Those are some good-looking enclosures. Yeah. Rick Keppen, what is the longest? I can't believe I didn't mention this in my thing. What is the longest battle you've ever played? Were you relieved when it was over, or do you enjoy it?
Can I guess?
Well, you
Can I
weren't
guess?
there.
Really? It wasn't with the.
I mean that. Okay, it's a two-parter.
Oh.
What's the longest DBA battle? And then what's the longest battle I've ever played of anything?
Oh.
Okay.
Well, DBA. Would it be with your all the bow guys
Oh yeah.
with the finals?
Oh yeah.
Against Howard.
Against Howard, yeah.
Yeah. It took you guys forever.
It took us like freaking 2.5 hours. Yeah, it was the final. It was the final game for the Nick Championship that year.
He had a fragile army. He had to be very.
My Burgundians, man.
careful.
My Burgundian ordnance. I love them. I do quite well. They have a pretty good record. They may only have like 2 losses or something like that. But I had to earn every single. It was no easy thing because they're fragile. Yeah, they've got they got
Keep away. You don't want.
Yeah, you got to play keep away with them, which is kind of entertaining. That's different, but we ended up playing this one battle. Howard had like a Warring States Chinese army, and we had some woods in the middle, and we were playing yin yang. Like I was trying to go one way, he was going the other one, and when he saw that I was going one way, he went the other way, and I went back, and there was a lot of movement. We weren't sitting here trying to like wasting time, but it was like a lot of like back and forth. That was at the last time we went to Historicon, right? That was 2019.
Yeah.
That was 2019.
Yeah.
Because it was at the new facility, which is awesome. The new Historicon facility is spectacular. If we ever get to go back. So, but that's the longest DBA. What's your longest DBA game? Other than the ties you've had.
Usually it's.
Which has still never ended.
Yeah. I mean, usually if the game goes long for me, no matter what the outcome is, it's fun. Because I've had some where. To me,
That's true.
like,
you do enjoy your losing because you even laugh when I rape you.
There's games where you get an attack going and it gets blown up and you're able to pull out of it and do something else. That's awesome. That's like, wow, that's fun.
Unusual.
Yeah, it's unusual
very
because
unusual.
once you're committed, it's usually to the death. But I have been in some games where things did not go good, and I had enough pips to pull out and get out of harm's way and continue on. And I remember one of them I'll never forget, and I came out on the short end, but it was super fun. But I don't know for time limits, but those are usually the longer games, no matter what happens, are usually long and fun for a reason.
Yeah. What's the longest game you've ever played, period?
So it was a we did a
Keep it PG, dude.
Yeah, no, it was like a 3-day weekend. We went like again, I'm from up north. It's pretty.
We know that.
It's pretty special up there. We have there was at the time. I think it was. I think it was late 80s or early 90s. We spent 3 days at a hotel and we played Empire 3 Leipzig.
Did
Now,
you finish
anybody
it?
knows it? No, we didn't. Because Empire is not the rule set for that. But we did do 8 or 9 turns, which is, for that battle, those rule sets, is amazing. There was probably, I think there was 25 people involved in that.
How many of them did you not want to be around?
That was kind of cool because it was like an invite thing, and so we had a
You
pretty
just
good
didn't
group
invite
of
people that were
guys.
trouble?
Yeah, everybody had a good time. They were a good group of people.
When you had your...
I don't know if anybody ever, not too, I don't know if anybody, but he does some ancient, but he usually comes up with either own rules or separate. But Mark Anderson put that on, and there was a bunch of guys up in Wisconsin, and they put it on in a hotel for 3 days, and you paid, stayed overnight, ate ate right there, played 4 or 5 hours at a time, take a break, 4 or 5 hours at a time, take a break.
That's the game where you had to do all this math and stuff?
Yes. And it was
Ah,
amazing.
the old days.
So you do the biggest Napoleonic battle ever.
With the slowest moving Napoleonic rules.
Oh,
young
man.
people. So that's
Yeah.
easily the longest.
Yeah, it was 3 days.
So mine
One
was
battle.
back in the days of Sea Creek 4. This was probably 1990. Something like that. And we were playing Sea Creek 4 battle. And so what we always did was we did historical stuff that could have almost happened. Okay? Yeah, we did historical stuff that could have almost happened. So, like, for instance, I love doing stuff in the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean was awesome. Like, the Times would sail off with this fleet, and you would know who was in it and how it was organized. And they would turn around because weather, they didn't find anybody, or there was chicken shit, or whatever reason it was. But we just assumed that they went forward and got involved in something. So we did the same thing with a specific one. We did, who was playing in that one? My buddy Timber and Franzi were on one side. They were playing the Americans? Yeah, and my buddy Mike and I were playing the Japanese. And what we did is we took, this was, because once I started doing the Pacific and I started getting into carriers just freaking ruin everything, okay? I know there's some of you out there that like carriers, okay? But carriers suck for naval combat. Because what you want to see is you want to see ships duking it out.
Do World War I.
Well, you could do that, okay?
Rusko Japanese.
Rusco?
Russian, Japanese.
Rusco? Okay.
Yeah.
Rusco P. Coltrane?
Yeah, there you go. Rusko, Pico. Good.
I thought you were from Illinois.
Yeah, well, I see no Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, okay.
All that.
So, it was in 42, and I took one of the forces that the Japanese took to invade. At the same time Midway was happening, they sent a force to the Aleutians. The Aleutians, okay? So you know what's in that force. The Americans just never intercepted. But of the ships that were available, so there was like, you had battleships on both sides of the Japanese. No, there was no Yamato.
He's busy.
You had Japanese heavy cruisers, battleships, You had the whole shebang, and the Americans had the same type of thing. So we play on the floor of this guy's house who had blue carpet. You know,
How convenient.
How convenient. Yes, it wasn't the right color or anything, but we played for 26 hours straight, sitting on the damn floor, rain just made. Not only did the game end in a draw. Now we went through a shitload of turns. We went through like 55 turns or something like that. It was something ridiculous. Okay? It was a draw. We hadn't committed all our forces yet. So we had one of those torpedo cruisers. I don't know if you know anything about World War II Navy, okay?
A little.
But the Kitakami class, we had a Kitakami class there. Okay? And it has like 40, I forget 40 or I think it's 40 long lance torpedoes. It's like stayed like we were gonna wait till the end to commit it. Because, it's one of those things, it shows up, everybody just nails it so they don't get all the damn torpedoes. Yeah, that's right. Whatever you do, don't let them launch that thing. Because everybody that's playing has hindsight, so you don't want to get long lanced. But we had a great time, but we went through like 4 cases of Pepsi. We went through all kinds of stuff, just to try to stay awake. Yeah, we started it on like a Saturday at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we ended it Sunday at 11, and we never slept. So that's the longest game we ever played. Will I do it again? Hell no. I will play a game on the floor. It's not worth it. I can get on the floor, and I can get up off the floor. It's not like I'm that large or anything. But it's just uncomfortable as shit. There's no, especially after playing this. I don't want to lean over a damn table.
I don't like that.
No. That's because you like bending over. Okay. Anyhow. Let's see. Longest game. I came because of the Beretta hat. Yeah! Where's your Beretta stuff? Locked up. Okay. Yeah, we're both fans of that stuff. Just kidding. Love to see some DBA talk. What were your first cars? What? Coming out of nowhere, cutting out of nowhere.
First person I slept with? What?
No, that's the next question. What was your first car?
I owned or I drove.
Okay, do one, then do the other one.
So the first car I drove was a Delta 88.
Which apparently is one of the most popular cars around 1981.
I think I was driving in 1983.
Okay.
The first one I owned was Pontiac. Oh my gosh. Because you're a kid and insurance is 4-door. What the hell was that? Pontiac.
Don't make excuses, just tell us what car you had.
Yeah. I had 4 doors.
You had 4 doors? Is it Pontiac?
Yeah.
What year was it?
Man. I think it was a used car, so I think it was like late 70s. God, I can't even think of it right now.
So some kind of Pontiac.
Yeah.
Some
cheap
boat.
for insurance. It's
Some
all
boat.
matters. Yeah. It's all about cheapness.
So my first car, so of all my friends growing up, I was the last one to have a car. But I was the first one to move out. So I was out of the house when was I 19? I was 18 or 19.
Yeah, I was the first one moved out.
I was the first one to move out of the house. So, the first car...
When you're the first one, you're the first party house, too.
Oh, is it? Well, I got to go back and do it again. I didn't do all the partying.
Oh, man.
Really?
Man, so our, like...
I didn't know
So
it
it's
was
a bachelor pad, right?
Was there... Did you do a lot of meth?
No. No.
That's what the Midwest is known
No,
for.
not that. No, we were beer drinkers, man. And you remember the cans with the taps?
Yeah.
And you bend them and form
Yes.
it into a chain? So our room, our living room, bachelor pad living room, was about this big, maybe slightly bigger. And the chain ran all the way around, and we got it to where we were running chains to go into the bedroom. You would go through. That's a lot of beer, folks.
So if you guys need any tips on how to do white trash, trailer trash nouveau, that would be this guy. Okay?
Man, oh man. Because when you first get out of high school and you're the first one out, and Yeah, you work, but you only sleep about 1 or 2 hours a day because everybody comes over
When you were
drink beer and play cards.
when you were
and do
18,
everything.
when you were 18, when you got out of high school, when you were 18, could you drink when you were 18?
You had to, well,
I meant legally. I mean, can you go to this?
illegally? No, not in Illinois, but Wisconsin you could, because we were 20 miles from the border.
Okay.
So you could go up to Wisconsin and drink at the bars or give beer up there. Or you just knew some of the upperclassmen that were legal and you had them buy you beer. Or you had older friends, older sisters or brothers that bought beer. Beer was not an issue. You
Yeah.
could get beer.
So I didn't have a car that I could use for my own purpose until I moved out and decided to go back into college. So I didn't have a car until that I could reasonably use until I was, let's see, how old was I? 22?
Woo.
Something like that. Until I
Man.
was 22. So yeah, I went to school, I rode the bus, and I took a bike freaking everywhere in this town. It's like, it's dangerous, but it's like, you know, that's why I'm never
Back in a good old
never volunteering to taking a bus. Because I was taking it while everybody was driving around in Trans Ams. Fuck you guys. You guys take a bus now, okay? So I'm not volunteering to take a bus or ride a bike as transportation because it's like, oh shit, I'm going home from work, it's thunderstorm, you know. I've done all that stuff. So yeah,
Is there a Pontiac Ventura?
it sounds about right.
That's what it was.
Is it?
It just popped
Okay.
in my head.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was.
it could happen.
Oh man. Yeah.
And then when I started going back to college and I would drive around, I'd drive my dad's old Stanza wagon. He had a Nissan Stanza wagon that I think had like 93 horsepower or something like that from like 1986 or whatever. Used that for a couple of years. I bought my first car in '97. I had never driven a stick before because we didn't have a stick car. And I'm like, I want to drive a stick. And everybody's like, you don't want to drive a stick? You're going to hate it. Bullshit, okay? I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And it was a Nissan 200 SX SER. Little rice-burning little thing.
Yeah.
You know, 140 horsepower and 5-speed. 5, 6, 5. Anyhow. And, yeah, I learned how to drive on that. And I didn't replace the clutch on it until I had 100,000 miles on it or something like that.
Woo.
So I knew how to drive it. Well, you sink or swim. You figure it out. You
Girl
know?
partying every weekend.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the last time, and that was the car I wrecked. That was the last time that I drove a stick, so I haven't driven a stick since then. And by God, I want another freaking stick.
That's one way to stop them from stealing your cars.
No, it's fun. It's fun. So, and it's not the same, yeah, paddle shifters. Okay, well, how about give me a dummy pedal down there that I can press down? You know, it's like playing a video game. So, yeah, and since then we've had,
Toyota Highlander.
both your cars are Toyotas, right?
Yep.
Both of mine are Toyotas too.
They go till they drop.
Yep. Yeah, so, anyhow.
Minimal problems.
My boss is always like, I remember a long time ago, he's like, because I was Nissan for a long time. I had everything that was Nissan. And then they, you know, they lost the bid. They lost the bid war. Now it's been Toyota. But they, my boss would always give me a hard time about buying, you know, foreign cars and stuff like that. But his Ford, my cars have always been made in the United States. And his Ford's made in Mexico or Canada or somewhere else. So it's like, you know, yeah, but the money goes somewhere else. Whatever. I don't care where the car is made. You need that pissed off samurai at the end of the line for the quality control. It's like, oh, you fuck up now! That's what you want, you know? You need the quality control. So.
You know what to do.
That's right.
Don't make me cut your head off.
What else do we have? Skylab 707. Do you guys do shooting sports? Well, I used to.
Yeah, we used to.
Hey, you know where you can find some ammo that doesn't cost couple dollars around. So I got into it really, really late. My dad always had, he had some target practice stuff. I was born in Tallahassee in '71, and my dad, we moved out of there in like '75, and he did clay pigeons, and he had a .22 rifle and stuff. But he was like, when he came here to town, at a college town, we don't have anywhere really to shoot around here. And I never, according to him, according to him, okay, he came here because it was a university professor, and it's like, they don't do stuff like that around here. Well, there's a place now, but so I never got to do that with him. I never got to do any shooting or anything with him. So I didn't get into it until 2012, something like that. I should have got into it a lot because I was like, yeah, I like guns and stuff, but it's just like a hobby. I don't really have the time, for it, and stuff like that. And then some guy decided to, have fun with people watching a movie. So I'm like, okay, well, we need to up the ante a little bit. And so I got involved in it with stuff that I'd never done before. We used to do some tactical shooting, IDPA and stuff. Because then you got kind of a little scenario and stuff like that. And we enjoyed doing that. And we did that for like a couple of years, and then the local place stopped having us come over because what happened is we would get there at 7 o'clock. It was one Sunday a month. We get there at 7 o'clock in the morning. We help them set up the scenarios and stuff like that. So we didn't pay to shoot there. I mean, you still have to provide your own ammo.
Great deal.
Yeah, it was a great deal. It was it was a social type thing,
Yeah, basically.
And we were tying up too much space, and they weren't generating any income, I guess, from that. So they just kind of went away. So they do USPSA, which is, for those of you that don't know, it's all timed and everything, but you don't use cover or anything. You're just like cowboy shooting here in the middle of it. It's not for me. So,
especially right now.
And then in the last, I haven't gone in over a year. My daughter's dying to go to the range. I took her for her 14th birthday. She's almost 16, but the ammo situation is just, I'm not gonna pay those prices. I'm not gonna pay those prices. I'm not gonna pay.
Well, I've been around weapons all my life, so. And then,
hey, we'll use your ammo. You got a big stash.
Yeah. And then I worked for the state also for a while in corrections as transport officer. So I was living it up because I would get once a year as an officer training. As a transport officer, you got quarterly. So I was going to the range. And on top of that, I was with their response team with the lethal weapon. So I was at the range while I worked for them like half the year, once a month. And then on top of that, I would go
for free.
Yeah, for free. Because that's them. They supply the ammo and all that.
Well, they supply the ammo too.
Yeah, because that's they're training you. So that was with 38s, 9mm shotguns.
They still use 38 revolvers?
Where I was at first, and then we moved to the 9mm. So I got training with both, but I had weapons previously before that anyways. And I was still
and
going.
neither one of us had been in the military. So.
Right. No. Yeah. And
you were too stupid, and you didn't want me. It worked out okay.
Yeah, it did. It did. But I haven't shot for probably 3 years now. I used to go on my own, even to the range. The 1 year, the local range.
So the local range wants like $300 a year, right?
Yeah, but when they were, before they had the managers they had now, they ran a Black Friday deal. So I went and bought 870 Remington. And by buying it, then you get free membership for a year. And man, I took advantage of that. But that was back in...
Yeah, so much they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, they don't do it.
Better not do that.
They're tying up the range all the time.
Well, that doesn't cost them anything. You're tying up the range.
Yeah.
You're one guy at the range.
Well, and I went on Tuesdays anyway.
You work a messed up schedule. Yeah. So, we play on Monday nights or Tuesday nights because this is your Saturday night.
Yeah.
You bastard.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I work a normal Monday through Friday thing,
And I like having Monday, Tuesdays off, so it's working with my job. They're very happy with that because then they don't have to worry about their weekends.
Yeah, but I'm not paying $300 to go shoot.
Yeah.
So I have to go either to an indoor range, which is about 15 miles away, and then it's by the hour, and an hour is plenty of time.
You can go.
But the fact that you're being timed is kind of stressful, in that you think you don't have enough time. But
you can go to the park. We have parks that you can go to where they have shooting ranges for free. But you don't want to go there on a weekend.
And it's 52 miles away.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
that place in Lake City is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. They have a rifle range, pistol range, everything.
They got the one in Ocala that you don't want to go to. It's in the middle of the woods, and I've heard stories of people. Because you can be safe. You need to be safe. You can have fun and be safe. But stupid people that just do stupid stuff. Yeah. You know what that's for? That's for this battlefield.
Yeah.
When you go and charge stuff. But when you're dealing with firearms, you can have fun and be safe.
Exactly.
So, we won't be doing any dumb firearms things like that. Who's that stupid Russian dude that blows things up? That's a retard. Okay, we don't have more views because we don't do controversial crap stuff like that. Yeah. Hey, you know what we can do? We can do all these fake magic tricks and go around the corner and the other person will pretend like they're really... No, none of this is scripted or none of that bullshit. So, you guys know what to expect here. Rick, so when's the last time either of you fielded a night general? We do that all the time.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite units.
I prefer cab general, but yeah, I've got several armies that have night general. Now, I'm not going to say anything. I was going to say the army I just played. Nope, can't say that. I haven't used the night general that very often. Okay, but yeah, I have many. I have many that have
you
night
see
general.
A series that 3 out of 4 armies I've played had night generals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like them?
Yep, I like them. I don't mind they get in trouble.
My Hungarians have a night general.
Yep.
You know, whenever they come out. My Hungarians, my medieval Germans, my French, Ostrogoths, well, my Koreans don't count because they're not. Yeah, they're Catholic.
Yeah. You're Romanians.
What Romanians?
Or you're Armenians.
Armenians, yeah, they have a Catholic general. Yeah, there are quite a few.
Yeah.
I don't like using them in the front lines.
Yeah.
I like putting them in the back lines, and then when they punch through, you hit with that guy, and it's usually double overlap, and that guy's screwed.
And I don't mind. Cutting edge, lead from the front.
Alright, let's see. In general, do you tend to lean towards preferring to play on the big board or small board? Does it depend on your army?
For me, yes.
I prefer the small board. I prefer the small board because the setup area is more restrictive. And it's deceiving. Sometimes you think, I'll play on the big board, so I'll have more space around the terrain. But the big board allows more terrain to get placed. So it actually might have a higher density than if it's on the small board. Because usually, many times, if 2 terrain pieces land in the same quarter, you can't place with the second one. It happens really frequently. I'd say half the time that probably is what happens. But with the large board, you can almost always place the 2. So if you're playing against somebody who's like, oh crap, he's got a lot of terrain, and then he's able to place it, it's actually counterproductive. You know, I like the small board also because it fits better on the viewer. I just have to raise the camera tripod more, which means you guys get farther away from the figures. Yeah. You know, so it'd be nice if we could do directly overhead, but it'd also be nice if I had a cameraman. What's that?
Trying to figure out how to string the wire so you could.
Anything else? Man, you got a lot of questions there, Rick. Awesome. What attracts you towards a particular army more? The theme, country of origin, for example, being country of origin, or the makeup of the variable troop types that the Army allows.
I like troop types.
I like country of origin. And I don't want to keep building armies that are the same. So I try not to use a crutch. Like, in a perfect world, I would want, and we brought this up before, like, what's your perfect army makeup consist of? For me, it's probably 4 or 5 elements of heavy foot, 3 to 4 elements of shooters, and the rest mounted. So I prefer a 2/3 of my army to be on foot, and the rest of them on mounted to react and punch holes and stuff like that. Because I tend to like what I like to call a wall of doom. Guys you can count on, and they march forward as other guys that are with them keep slinging shit at you, and eventually you're going to roll like crap and you're going to get hosed. But you're moving forward solidly. And my mounted is a supporting arm, not necessarily a primary arm.
Yeah.
That's my preference to play. I'll play anything. So, but I don't want every army to be like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about Irish. My Irish are very different than any of my other ones. My the poor Turks.
The Turks are a really hard army.
They're a really hard army, but they're a lot of fun army, and they're very different than the other armies I have. The Burgundians are different. The Burgundians are different.
Yeah.
My Nanchow are different.
Yep.
Not only do they have not that many shooters, but they have a lot of fast pipe that need to maneuver and pin people down and envelop them. So I prefer to have a mixture of different armies that you have to play different.
Yep.
So I know I mentioned going off on a tangent here. In one of my paint things I did over the weekend, that we were talking about video games, and one video game that came up was Diablo. I know you've never played Diablo, but anyways. So this is like a fantasy game where you can play different characters. Some people, like my brother, there's like 4 characters or 5 characters or 6 characters. He plays one, and he only plays it one time, and that's it. I play everything, and I want to play everything so you experience all kinds of different situations. And yes, you may have a preference over the other, but you get to experience all the other kind of stuff. I mean, why play an army that's just the Romans? You know, you never get to experience shooters. Why pick somebody who's just shooters or 100 years war English? Play them all. So you have to play them all differently, so you get to get outside your comfort zone and experience that. You know, I think that our game group is pretty good about that. I know other game groups. I've heard horror stories that one guy in particular, I don't know who it is, but he lives on the other side of the world, or he did. I don't know anymore. In other versions of DBA, he would play only one army, and he'd literally sit in the corner and would just sit there for people to come to him. Anybody that plays like that is probably somebody who has a bad attitude, anyways, that you don't want to play with and has fun. It's good to challenge yourself. You become a better player, you know. Don't always play aggression 0 armies. Play some 4s, you know, mix it up, you know.
Yeah.
I've always felt that way,
Yeah.
you know. Not like, oh, I only play, you know, like if you're playing Flames of War, not that I play Flames of War. I only play Elite, SS, King Tiger. Come on, dude. I mean, mix it up, you know, play different stuff, you know. Play crappy stuff, play, you know.
Play the Russians.
Yeah. All right. I could keep asking questions on that, but I know it's getting late for you guys. I appreciate all the answers. I'll save them for the next Q&A. Yeah, by all means, put them on here, and we will add them to the beginning of it. You know, it's fun. It's fun to talk about, you know, different things. We certainly have opinions about stuff, but I don't really particularly need to convert somebody to the way we think. The guys in our game group, I would say every single one of us has a different way of playing, and you know, I don't want to change the way Luke plays. I still don't know how the hell you play. I honestly don't put any thought into it. I don't really worry about the other person's game. I just kind of do my own thing. But I don't think any of us want to change the other person. Like, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it like this. You know. But I think it's good that we all have different ways of getting around the problem. You know. I mean, some of us like to put rivers down, VUAs down. Some of us, who knows what the hell they do. Some of us like Wall of Doom. Other people like to charge knights right into freaking elephants. Doesn't make any sense to me, but you know. It's your army, pal!
When you're hungry, you're hungry.
When you're hungry, you're hungry. We're eating steak tonight! Anyhow. But yeah, we like to play different things, and you know, we don't necessarily want to convert people to how we think. You know, I'm not really interested in that. So anyhow, that's it. So 2 hours and 9 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
We did.
Yeah, there'll be more next time. Now I think we've got multiple people coming next week.
Yes.
So we won't probably do another one of these for 2 weeks, but yeah,
Should
it'll
be
fun to do. I think the secret is we need to do our game first, so we don't start this super late. I mean, it's almost midnight. I know you gotta wake up whenever. I'll be up at 5.
6:40.
Yeah, I still gotta shower. Yeah, I don't go to sleep dirty like you. All right. So anyhow, that's it. We'll catch you guys next time. If you guys have any other questions, they don't necessarily have to be DBA related.
Evidently not.
Apparently not. Yeah, we talk about cars or, you know. If we don't like your question, we just won't answer it. Hey, I was always, when you're playing truth or dare, I prefer the truth. It's, you know, when you don't tell lies, it's easy to keep them straight, you know.
There you go.
So if you guys, if anything that we missed, go ahead and add that in the comments section of this video, and we'll catch them up on the next one. And, you know, and we'll go from there. But thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Enjoy.
Okay? See ya. Bye-bye.